Let's start with a soft intro. Actually, I know I have a ham for this. Oh yeah, now we're talking. That's the good stuff right there. That's the Baldo ham. So let's start the Baldo segment with Aaron Imholte just taking a little jab at Rekieta, and then we'll move on. Assuming.
Oh, is that true? JH says Aaron Chrissy Mayer was blaming you for Nick Rekieta's downfall. Me? See, I would have said it was the other way around. Like if I hadn't gotten out of that cyclone of shit, that could have brought me all the way down. Almost did. I would say it's the other way around. He was already a mess when I met him. I mean, high on Molly the night of the show. He licked my face the first night we met. We're at Benton Station. Licks my face. Like, come on. We're not licking faces. Stop. He did it like 3-4 times. He was a face licker. Don't be a face licker. Kiki cried.
That's funny. This happened on stream even. I'm pretty sure Rekieta licked his face in the hot tub stream. Does anybody else remember that? Is that like a figment of my imagination? Is that like a rogue memory that I've conjured? I'm pretty sure that happened in the stream. So I remember that they were being really gay with each other in the jacuzzi, and you could tell that the women were both really annoyed by this, because it was supposed to be like a hot swinging thing, like where they swapped the wives or whatever, and then the guys are like licking each other, and they're both like visibly disgusted by this. Soft update on remember that Rekieta has ongoing family issues, criminal issues, and civil issues. And in the civil case, where he's being sued by Steve Quest, aka Montegraph, for defamation per se, where he accused him of being has always liked sex, is I believe the exact statement he used. His civil court judge was Judge Pussylicker, also known as Jennifer Fisher. She was asked to recuse in the criminal case, and by Minnesota state law, you get one free do-over with your criminal court judge. So when they asked her to recuse, she did. She didn't challenge it because he statutorily has one free judge re-roll basically per case. And he believed that it would be a bad idea to let her be the presiding judge. Well, in the civil case, similarly, she has recused, and I believe that this was done sua sponte. She just simply decided that she would like to recuse from this case. And now, Honorable Stephen J. Winsel is the judge in the civil case. And if that name sounds familiar, it's because that's the judge in the criminal case. So I believe that may also be the judge in the family case, but don't quote me on that. So now this guy is officially the state-appointed Baldo handler in all matters, legal, criminal, or civil. Honorable Winsel is at the helm, representing Minnesota in these matters. So I don't know what the outcome of that will be. I think there's some reason to speculate that this guy is not on Rekieta's side. Personally, he probably thinks that Rekieta's a dickhead. And the reason why I can say that is because of this filing. Let me think about how I want to address this real quick. Give me a second to gather my thoughts. So when Rekieta was arrested, the first thing that happens in a Minnesota trial, as far as I'm aware, is that they schedule something called an omnibus hearing. Now, you have, between the point of being indicted and the trial in criminal cases, each state and the federal jurisdictions have their own procedures. And there is a timely way to file certain motions, certain challenges, certain requests before the trial begins. Minnesota has a really big hearing, pretrial hearing, called the omnibus hearing. And unlike in a lot of states, Minnesota gets a lot of stuff done in this one hearing, which is why it's called the omnibus, because it's everything. Basically, everything that you want to file before the trial happens at the omnibus hearing. Everything. If you want to file something, it must be done, it must be heard at the omnibus hearing. That's why we sent a bunch of people to this hearing, because it's a big deal. and a lot of things that would be hashed out and set the pacing of the case would happen at the omnibus hearing. So the Kiwi SEAL Team 6 or whatever arrives at the court, gets hassled by Ethan Ralph, waves goodbye to him, so on and so forth. That all happens, and it kind of felt underwhelming. And I was a little bit irritated because I assumed that there would be like a continuance and there would be a second omnibus hearing. Because all that happened at the omnibus hearing is that Rekieta asked for a Franks hearing. And a Franks hearing is named after a Supreme Court precedent where it said that if a police officer lies materially to a judge and gets a warrant, and that warrant would not have been granted if that police officer did not lie, then anything that the warrant obtained would be fruit of the poison tree and would be inadmissible in court. So that means the body cam footage, that means that they found, that means that the weapons that they found, that means that anything that they found as a result of that warrant would be thrown out, and that's basically as good as dismissing the case, right? So Rekieta said that the cop had lied because he watched the stream of Rekieta up on coke and alcohol on the big on the Anime Sucks Cope and Sneed stream. The judge, Officer Pomplin, said that had happened. And Rekieta asked for a Franks hearing, and his attorney wrote, or some people think that he's writing them, but he wrote and said that Pomplin had watched a stream that was archived on Cognificent, the jobless Johnny, on his internet backyard or whatever, I can't remember what it's called, on his archive channel. And therefore, he lied materially under oath to the judge, and the warrant would not have been granted if he had said that he had watched an archive. And in part because they said that the stream was edited and watermarked. And the reason why he said that is because Cog on YouTube had added a watermark to the channel, and that's a part of the player. That's not a part of the video. So the way that this works is that he went to the omnibus hearing, he asked for the Franks and nothing else. Kiwi Team 6 walked away. Felt a little bit underwhelming. Then Rekieta files his first motion in support of the Franks hearing, which outlines all the things I just talked about. The state comes back with a reply, says you're full of shit, you're wrong. It's very clear from the affidavit that he's actually being very truthful, very upfront that he watched an archive. The words have a clear meaning because they appear multiple times. And Hardin even told me that when he was a prosecuting attorney, the quality of Virginia warrant request was far below this. So Pomplin was very deliberate and well-spoken in his request for the search warrant, and it served him well in the trial because Rekieta's reply was rejected, and the judge basically said, you're not getting a Franks hearing, which is on its face a kind of a blow, but it was kind of a long shot to begin with. I mean, it's basically a get-out-of-jail-free card. If he could get the search warrant thrown out over this technicality, then he gets all the evidence thrown out as well, and then he's a free man, and there's no issue. Except, his gambit actually backfired horrifically, and I say that because of this. Preload all these images, actually. Here it is. So this is the order. You ready? The defendant's motion to schedule an evidentiary hearing pursuant to Frank's challenge is denied. So he didn't even get to have the hearing that they were going to schedule. The judge says, there's no fucking way I'm going to believe this. There's nothing you can show me to change my mind. It's over. You're denied. Then, the defendant's motion to suppress the firearms and ammunition is denied because he raised some kind of challenge about the, oh God, what is it? The plain view. I talked about this earlier in the stream. He said that was not acceptable under the plain view exception to the scope of the search warrant. Judge says that's bullshit. It's in the house. It's in plain view. What more do you want? Or it was in the gun safe or whatever. And then 3, and this is the banger, chat. All other omnibus issues not argued with particularity or otherwise specifically identified to the court as a contested issue at the omnibus hearing, whether included in the written notice or not, are denied, having been waived by the defendant. Now, this was not actually a response to anything in his Frank's hearing motions. This is like a little thing that he's added himself, saying like, we're not having another omnibus. And everybody Everybody thought. Bromka from North Dakota and Minnesota, that was one of the Kiwis at the courthouse. Sean thought this. And Hardin thought this. Everybody expected that there would be Omnibus and 2 set out where Rekieta could file a bunch of other bullshit to prolong the case. The judge has said no. No omnibus hearing. Which means that because if you remember, Rekieta filed all this shit literally like the midnight before the actual omnibus was scheduled. So he hired counsel last second, filed a bunch of shit last second, got the omnibus hearing, raised one thing and one thing only, the Franks hearing, and then the judge says, like, look, you put this off to the last second to try this long shot. You don't get to go a second bite at it. You don't get to do this again. So now he's f***ed. Because anything else that he wanted to raise, and he mentions in the Franks hearing motions that he wanted to raise a couple other things in passing. I think the judge even says you made a vague reference to something, but you didn't specifically, bring it up, or you expect to bring it up later. That's not happening. That's what he's saying here. And that means that now there's going to be a trial. They have a scheduling conference. That's the next thing that's set up. And they're going to decide the dates of different things. And that's mostly technical, where they say, well, I'm busy that week, because attorneys have multiple clients. So Rekieta's options are now one of three things. He can either appeal this, and I am almost guaranteed in saying that he will appeal this, because he doesn't have a choice. If he's hoping to get this dismissed pre-trial, he must. He has no choice. He not having an omnibus hearing where he raised things that actually succeed is a big detriment to him, because he can't squash any evidence or anything. He anything that was supposed to happen before the trial has been denied preemptively because he didn't raise them. So he kind of has to ask the appellate court to give him a second chance. He's like, well, wait a second, I didn't know they would be denied. I wouldn't have just asked for the Franks hearing then. He has to. He has no choice. So, and that's expensive, by the way. Even with Hardin, appeals and Supreme Court stuff, that's expensive, because there's a lot to it, and then you have to pay fees, because the fees go up as you get higher into the ranks, and you have to bind things a certain way, and you have to pay printing companies, and those are their fees they're monopolies, so they can charge it up to the one. That shit's expensive, so that's probably going to be at least $10,000 for him to appeal this one motion to the state appellate court. That's a big deal. So he's going to appeal that. He's got his house hasn't his Zillow listing for the second house hasn't sold yet, so he doesn't have that money. He might reduce the price. If any of you are looking for a house in Spicer, Minnesota, keep a lookout on that listing, because after the shit, when he files his appeal, I have a feeling that house is going to go down by $20,000 on the Zillow listing. Just keep in mind you're going to be living next to Rekieta. So then, aside from the appeal, he either is going to have to take a plea, or he's going to have to go to trial. And this is the issue that they have. If he takes a plea, he's guilty. And if he's guilty, then he no longer has a presumption of innocence. And if he no longer has a presumption of innocence, then the government has no reason to release particularities of public record that may meaningfully harm the reputation of a presumed innocent person. Certain records that I have interest in, chat, if he were to plea out. So he may not plea out specifically because he would not want those specific records to become matters of public record. If he goes to trial, then of course he doesn't get a plea deal, which is generally beneficial. I think that it usually goes that it's more expensive and you get a harsher sentence if you fight it out to the bitter end. So he may not get that. But if he goes to trial, then certain matters of public record will enter evidence and then be released as evidence to the public, as all evidence is, usually, including things that I have specific interest in, chat. So, that's where we're at with that. And Rekieta's position is so and he's so full of pride. Like a normal person, of course, would simply take the plea Because I have a feeling that he's a first-time offender. He's got kids. He needs the support. It's a no-brainer. To what end does the government have in putting an innocent, or, not innocent, but like a normal family man in jail for one up? A non-violent offense, even. None. It costs them money, and you don't pay taxes when you're in jail because you don't make any money. And then you have a bunch of kids that are more reliant on the public systems because they don't have a dad that's providing for them. So it doesn't make sense for them to be like, hey, let's put you in jail forever. That doesn't make any sense. They just want you to stop costing them money and being a nuisance. That's it. So, yeah, obviously the plea deal would make the most sense. But then if he's guilty, then that opens up Pandora's box, So I don't know. He's kind of right. And I don't feel bad for him because everybody told him that he sucked. And what's really weird is that he's still so arrogant. He hasn't. It's so. I remember. Do you guys remember the special Rekieta stream that I did after he got arrested? I think I had like 2 special Rekieta streams in a row where I did like a full front to back commentary on his Anime Sucks Cope and Sneed chat. Or stream. And then I did like another stream that was immediately after that was mostly just about him being arrested and his arraignment in jail. And I remember I made a prediction. I don't know if it was a prediction. I hesitate to call it that. But I was thinking aloud about what I expected him to do once he got out of jail. I expected that he would sit the 3-day weekend in jail, but he got out with bond. And then with recognizance bond, then he paid the money so he could not do piss tests. And then, funnily enough, and he rewrites history. He paid that money so he wouldn't have to piss test. But then the family court made him do tests anyways without any way out of it as part of the custody stuff. So he has to do the piss test anyways. So he paid all that money for nothing. And he tries to make that out like it was just like, oh, I had no idea that was going to happen. And then when they said you got to go pee-pees in the cup, I was like, oh, of course, I'll do anything to get my children back. He paid so much money to the point where he had to put a mortgage out on his house to get the $100,000 for him and his wife. And then they pee tested him anyways. And I know that's what happened. He can cope and sneeze that it was something else. But I know he paid not to do the test, and then they made him do the test anyways. But I was thinking, as I said, that I was imagining what his first actions would be after he got out. He would get out, and then he would have to stream again. That's his job. So what's he going to do? And I imagined in my head that what he would do is he would come out, and then he would do a coming to Jesus moment, I suppose what you would say, as PPP would say. He likes to use that phrase. And he would say, I know I've let people down. I'm going to work with the state. I'm going to get my kids back. I thought there was a really good chance because I didn't see how there could be any other way to address it. You have to stream to make your money. You have to be popular. You have to have people's respect. People have to want to give you money and respect you in order for you to make your job doing this avenue. So I saw no possible way for him to come back and not do that, and not do the I've learned a lot type of thing. And I was completely blown away. I remember even saying on the stream though that he may not do that because he's like such an arrogant buffoon. And then like his first stream back, he comes back and starts accusing the government of all this conspiracy and naming specific workers out, saying that they hated him and they had past relations and they had prejudice against him and they lied on their oath. Like all this crazy fucking shit. Like immediately when his first day back, I'm thinking, holy fuck. I can't even believe it. That's the avenue you want to go. Like it's just I don't even know. I guess his kid testing positive for cocaine is like the worst thing, and people would never forgive him for that. But it's like there was definitely an opportunity after the arrest for him to try and make amends and be a good Christian dad again. And for whatever fucking reason, there's no fucking way that April Imholte is that good at anything that it's worth it. She either has like a mountain of dirt on this guy that would make your fucking skin crawl, or he's just like actually brain damaged. The holes have like gone from end to end. You could take one of those little fuzzy like metal bendy straw things, pipe cleaner. You could take a pipe cleaner and weasel that through his brain without ever hitting any gray matter because there's so many fucking holes in it. That's the only thing I can come up with at this point. Everything he's been working on in the past couple weeks since the omnibus hearing, since the last time I talked about him. I think it's been 3 weeks even, because I know that he came back from his 3-week hiatus to stream recently. So I want to say it's probably been 3 weeks since the omnibus, since I talked about the Kiwis going to the courthouse. And in that time, his big project, the Franks hearing, is completely and totally eviscerated. And not only was that eviscerated, it also appears that he's really shot himself in the foot. And he missed a lot of more realistic, opportunistic ways to mitigate damage and posture the case in his favor by only raising the Franks hearing at the omnibus, expecting that he would just get a second omnibus hearing because he's Nick Rekieta and he's special. And there you go. That's the Rekieta update. Baldo Ham, you are dismissed to slink back away to your cracked in with your 2 hamster wives. Small update. This paperwork raised some questions and I will answer them. April Imholte has received in her criminal case for drug possession a discovery disclosure. And I should clarify, after talking to an attorney, discovery disclosure and evidence are different. So when you are a prosecuting attorney and you're going to, or even a defense, and you're going to submit things into discovery, you basically have to itemize every single thing that you intend to bring to discovery. Everything. So you have to cast a pretty broad net. You have to give a heads up, like, hey, in the next year throughout discovery, we are going to ask for all of this, and you have to be really, 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 really good about making sure you ask for everything that could possibly be relevant, because unless there is a major discovery mid-case, you can't amend your discovery findings, because you're letting the opposition party know what they're going to have to prepare to give you. So it would be really unfair if the government or, the civil person suing you could just keep saying, like, hey, I want this too, and I want this too, and I want this too. It's all up front. These are all the things that we're going to need from you, so make sure you get them ready during this process. And one of the things that they mentioned in April's case with her drug possession is the body cam footage. I don't know if I'll be able to find this as well. But they basically have this checklist. And the police go through and they'll add a checklist for everything video recordings for body cam. But yeah, it's just a checklist. So they're saying we're probably going to add, or we're reserving the right to bring the body cam footage into evidence later. Not necessarily that it is into evidence, but it's a possibility. Also, people were questioning, they didn't realize that April Imholte had a criminal history. And I was told by a former prosecuting attorney that when you are charging somebody, because this is just like a checklist, defendant's criminal history is basically always checked because there's no harm of it. And you could say, like, well, you're wrong to ask that unless you have a reason to. But it's possible for the prosecuting attorney just to say, well, we're going to use the fact that she had no criminal history in our case, and you can't really dispute that. So criminal history is basically always checked, and they don't even check to see if you have criminal history first before doing it, because they can. I'll just pull it up later. So that's that. Don't get excited. What I'm trying to say, the point of this is that the body cam footage has not been entered into evidence in the April Imholte case, but it could be, which means that if you were an interested party that wanted to make sure that body cam footage never saw the light of day, you really gotta hope that April takes a plea deal at some point and doesn't force this into evidence, which she very well could do. In fact, because they've given her they've put it on this checklist. She could ask for it. She has a right to review the evidence as the defendant in this case. So she could ask for it, and then because it's government property, she could publish it on her own. So she has full access to this body cam footage, basically unredacted whenever she wants. So if you really didn't want this body cam footage to get out, you got to be like, "Oh, April, you're so good." Oh, April, I'll never set you aside, my concubine. You'll always sit equal weight with my own wife. You gotta make sure she stays happy, bro. You got you by the balls, bro. Better make sure you pay that defense. Better sell that house. Better keep giving her what she wants. It's fall, man. You know what them bitches like? Bitches like shopping. Bitches like purses. Oh, you got the pumpkin spice lattes, like $10 cup. And you got that fall clothing. You got the sweaters. You got the cute kitsch sweatshirts and shit. Bitches be shopping, man. Better keep her happy. Better make sure she got the pumpkin spice everything. Hey, don't skimp. Pumpkin spice sweaters too. She wants to smell good. Get the pumpkin spice fragrance. Oh, the pumpkin spice. Oh, April. I'll never hurt you. I'm definitely not trying to placate you until all the criminal issues are resolved, so I can dispose of you in any way convenient to me. Oh, such is life in Minnesota, chat. Pumpkin spice the Baldo. Aaron Imholte. Aaron Imholte is the guy that is opposed to Nick Rekieta. And when I first started talking about him, I had to clarify that he is a kind of minor celebrity in that area of Minnesota. And he already had like this major contingency of A-logs. So like his Steel Toe morning show antics were already being like snark reddited and stuff before he kind of merged with the Rekieta sphere to cause like a lolcow supercell. Now he is on conditional release from jail because he's being charged with a felony in regards to revenge of Kayla Rekieta. And so his conditional release means, even with unconditional release, you generally promise that you will remain law-abiding. So any violation of the law can be considered a violation of your bond and have your bond revoked so that you go back to jail. So here is one of the gay logs from his Steel Toe morning show hate fandom saying, Aaron scoffed at the idea of Rumble reaching out to Sherburne County DA to report him for violating the TOS. Here I was wanting to know where to go to report him for violating copyright law and his probation. I never even cared about Rumble TOS. Thanks, Aaron. So this guy is going to try and report copyright infringement on behalf of a third party to his parole officer and the DA to try and get his bond revoked. Now, in my life, dealing with the sector, I have seen desperate, pathetic, craven, absolute piles of fucking dog shit desperately sucking the cock of the government to try and inconvenience people that they don't like for whatever asinine, petty, stupid fucking reason. This is one of the most pathetic and desperate I've ever seen, ever. And this guy should probably be by a train. I don't know what else would be a suitable punishment for someone this fucking bootlicking and disgusting. This guy definitely dresses up. It's like a 50-year-old man who dresses up in drag and jerks off to like 4chan cuckold. Absolutely revolting. Genuinely stirs hatred and contempt from my bowels. And by the way, this guy is a fan of someone called Patrick Melton. His next illegal movie stream. So he talks about movies and streams movies. Oh my gosh. This guy don't like his streaming movies to the internet. He doesn't even have a license. He doesn't even have permission from the copyright holder. Oh my god. Out of these people. That's what that would cure them. I'm just saying, I'm not advocating for violence, but I'm just saying if you took these people, they're priorities would readjust in a positive and constructive way. Just like take a stick and then suddenly all this copyright shit that he's so concerned about will become like whoosh, like way at the bottom of things that he's concerned about at that moment. It would just instantly it would instantly cure him of the mental condition that and that's what I'm advocating for here is mental health. Mental health. Right now, he's in a bad headspace, and he cares a lot about stuff that really doesn't affect him. And I think that through therapeutic application of a to his body and head would immediately cure him of this anxiety, because it would restructure his priorities and headspace into a more positive and affirming area, giving him insight and value into the things that really matter. I'm just advocating for mental health with a blank to his fucking asshole. Anyways, Patrick Melton is what he's a fan of, called Nobody Likes Onions. I have no fucking idea what any of this is, but there's apparently a video here. So the copyright bro that cares so much about this is a big fan of this guy. And apparently I should play this clip. Let's take a listen. I've not listened to this yet. This is a live reaction chat.
And he always seemed like a good dad to me. I was in total shock when I heard about this.
Yeah, I'm sure
and denial, I'm not going to lie. I felt like there's no way the guy that I knew...
Can we, first of all...
Who is this?
Is this not a problem generative?
Who are you? Oh, okay, so this guy is watching this review. This is Onion Man. And he's doing a live reaction to this video. I'm assuming that this guy was arrested, or his father was arrested for possession. He's doing a live reaction.
Is this not a problem generative AI could solve? You know, the thumbnail of this show is an onion in a kilt vomiting in Scotland. And that was probably made in seconds, and it looks realistic enough. Now, this is not going to be a popular opinion, but couldn't we generate realistic that would satisfy... Okay, two unpopular opinions. Number one, I think we'd all agree...
Spit it out, coward.
I think we'd all agree that collecting images... First of all, who's saving drive? Okay, I don't even get it. And then I said this last night in the Discord, but 6,000 images. If 10 images make you come, I don't know why you're gonna need 6,000 of them.
Oh man, Dick, Juju, somebody ring the cowbell. Ring the cowbell, Juju. I got your next co-host, buddy. I got your next co-host. This guy's a fucking stand-up comedian. He's your next guy. He's your top guy. Juju, get this fucker on the Dick Show right away. He'll mesh right in with your people.
I mean, come on. But the point is, we can all agree that looking at pictures is... Okay? Now look, not a comfortable topic. I get it. But can we all agree on that? Looking at a picture... Now look, the problem is, you know, the way that these pictures are obtained and produced is... Let's not get into that.
But the distribution and utilization for sexual purposes of these images is not a continuation of that? Is that like a... No? Is that missing your... Okay.
But we can all agree that way worse than... So, with that being said, this generative AI, and I think it is illegal to, like, make images. I'm pretty sure that's a law.
Yeah. Damn, this dude could be a lawyer. Damn, that's that's a fucking profound thought.
But,
oh my god,
in a lot of ways, isn't it a solution?
Make sure to slam that like button.
To not having victims. Patrick says ignore the abuse. No, but no, I'm making two separate points. That number one, like, not as a severe a crime as or whatever you want to call it. But I'm just saying,
spit it out.
no kids are being hurt, and it keeps these at bay. Maybe we allow them to just go in a room and just keep generating as much as they want. Look at people in the chat; they're so uncomfortable. Stop.
Yeah, no shit. There's a fans trying to save them. How about this? Okay, if we're already at the point that we can put all these evil files into the generative AI machine learning room, why don't we just them? if our solution is just to lock them in the goon chamber, why don't we just? Why does nobody want to agree with me on these things? Like, we need a more efficient death penalty.
Stop. Imagine being that f***ing gay. Imagine being such a pussy. Where you're like, you can't.
Imagine being such a gay. Imagine being such a fucking pussy. Oh my god.
Don't even talk about it. I'm so uncomfortable.
Dude.
And then there's people in the chat room who are going like, no, that won't fix it. I'm not a politician. This is a joke. You fucking idiots. You guys are over there like, wow, Melton thinks he ought to be able to. I don't know. I don't make policy, you fucking idiots. Imagine arguing me in my chat. You fucking idiots. You're being gross. I'm not being gross. You can't handle talking about things in a true way. You can't handle it. That's you. You're uncomfortable. Something inside you is... If your stomach is churning about this, you're immature in a way. Because, you know... No, but the point is, what's the... I guess what I'm asking is, what are we punishing people for? And I don't mean like... I mean, I understand like literally what we're punishing people for. But like, if the crime is... If the reason this is a crime, and I believe...
So let me get to the bottom of this. When you generate photography, you're definitely not conditioning yourself to find. That's not the bad thing that we're prosecuting or trying to prevent here. That the exposure, even if there's no physical literal victim, is bad for the human mind and therefore can create the likelihood of download. Look, that's like a victim of crime. But copyright infringement. There are people out there that slave their life away for their creative works, and people like Rekieta and Imholte steal their creative works and play them on their podcast without permission. Effectively, a form of mental rape. Chat. We have to lock those motherfuckers up. We have to put that motherfucker back in jail before he really hurts somebody. Come on now. Oh, this guy. Dude, I'm telling you, if this guy hasn't hooked up with Juju, yeah, he's your boy. He's your boy. He's your homie. You got mutual enemies. He don't like Rekieta and Imholte. Just come on, get him.
Daughter's got a... I hate to tell you. Turn her upside down. Oh, boy.
Dude, Juju, this guy, dude, I'm telling you, he'll fit right in, bro. I'm telling you, he'll fit right in. He doesn't like Aaron either. He's your new buddy.